And
welcome back to the FlairBar.com show. I am your host, Ben Rose, and sitting next to me is Mr. I gotta say it because I like saying it, Mr. Twatch. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. To be honest, that's the first time I've ever been introduced as Mr. Twatch. It feels
It's usually just Twatch.
it feels pretty professional.
Now let's get back. Real name, obviously, but everybody has.
Yeah.
I know Mom didn't name you Twatch, so.
My real name's Ryan Sturring.
Ryan Sturring, and I gotta ask, how'd you get the name Twatch? There's got to be some funny story behind this, please.
Surprisingly, for that interesting of a nickname, nothing too dramatic there. I used to be a guy in my work named Twitch, and I guess it was the Tweedledum Tweedledee effect. Like, Twitch and Twatch, don't even ask them to do anything important. They're gonna, find some way to fuck it up type deal.
Wow. So we've got to come up with a better story then.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll work on that.
No. I assumed I'd give you the legit story. There's plenty of
cool.
variations I throw out, but
we'll get into that. Now, I gotta say, me personally, I think it was like probably about a year and a half ago. I saw you. The first time I got to see you was down at Summer Flair.
yeah, this was my first time competing down in Florida.
That was your first time, and just to watch, and everybody starts somewhere, and watch you progress has been phenomenal. What goes behind that? A lot of determination, practice, or is it just magic?
No, early on it was pretty. It was tough for me. It's never really performed as well as I'd like, and you get a couple of those where you where you embarrass yourself. You want to do everything in your power to correct that. And, it doesn't hurt that it's something I enjoy doing. So like practicing isn't too far of a stretch for me.
Now, what was the first time, or do you remember the first time that you saw Flair bartending and you started becoming part of it and you're like, you know what, I got a passion for this. This is something I want to do. Or is it just something you picked up to get laid?
Well,
little
to be
both.
honest, that was a benefit that kind of added after that. But no, the first time I was doing a bartending competition, I've always been a pretty good bartender, and there was all aspects of bartending, and then there was an optional Flair round. That was the first time I actually saw some guys who were somewhat capable of what they're doing. My buddy Rico, I got to watch doing. My buddy John, it kind of spun me onto it. Wanted to progress from there. I took a lot of pride in all the other aspects of bartending, and that actually looked like something I would enjoy doing. So,
now let me just, for people who don't know, let's run down some of the credits at Bahia Cabana this year. The competition, you took third place in the mixology competition, which phenomenal. There was like over 86 people that entered.
Yeah. And
to get third is great. Yeah. But mixing in the mixology end of it over just the Flair, new turn in the corner aspect. Did you buy into it more?
Well, no, like I said, prior to the Flair, I had actually prided myself on an all-around bartender. So the mixology thing is actually something that came earlier for me. And the Flair is something that I don't want to say it's the newest facet of my bartending. But, I don't want to say it's new. I've been doing it for about 3 years. But the mixology is always a big source of pride because at the end of the day, if you can't make a good drink, I don't care how much you can flip,
Exactly.
So.
And now we're up here for Quest in Orlando. You entered the Advanced round?
Advanced Division, yeah.
Advanced Division. Tonight, or depending on when you're watching this, but later on, is going to be the finals, and you're seated at what place?
I'm 7th. I actually finished just outside the finals.
Just outside?
Which, by most measures, would be a disappointment, but I decided about a week and a half ago to compete, so I wasn't as prepared in the speed facet of it. So I did well in the Flair, and I did better in the speed than I had anticipated. So.
But now you said you made a comment to me earlier when we were off camera about your speed being faster. What was that now?
The day prior to the speed rounds, I printed out the drinks for the speed round.
So you had less than 24 hours to prepare.
I did an accumulative probably half hour to 45 minutes of speed practice. So my speed my speed time actually ended up being about 6 seconds faster than any time I practiced, so which is kind of rare. It's a testament to how far I've come as a competitor that I can even perform better during better in competition than actually in practice, which is a rarity for most people. They generally don't even come as close to their practice times in the thing. So in a subtle way, it's a testament to how far I've come as a competitor.
Now I like asking in my eyes, you're still a newbie.
Yeah.
You're still a newbie.
Well, by your standards, anyone is.
Super. Now, what advice would you give people just coming up? If you could give them just in a sentence, because obviously due to our sponsors, we don't get much time with people anymore. But, we'll talk about that later. But, what advice would you give them?
As hypocritical as it sounds to me saying it, preparation's key. Like I said, I've never felt more unsure going into a competition as this one, and it's because I'm aware of the effects of the preparation. So that's it. Come in prepared. Have a set round. Like when I first started, I used to just throw moves, not have a round set. I used to come in and disregard speed rounds, stuff like that. This was a tough situation for me, but the best thing you can do is come prepared. I mean, we all like to flip bottles. That's why we do what we do. It's not that I know these people aren't at home flipping, but there comes a point where you actually have to put the work in. Set rounds, prepare speed rounds. So
now I'm gonna ask you a question totally, and I do this with every guest that's here. I ask them a question totally not about flair,
okay,
not about bartending.
yeah.
And if they get it right, we give them a prize. It's not really a right or wrong answer.
Okay.
But I got the question for you. You ready?
I'm intrigued. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because we have viewers, and we actually had one way back when. They want to know exactly, if you give them an amount, exactly how much gel do you use on that hair? Because I want to know. Because
that's a trick question. Zero gel. It's
Zero
it's a spiking glue.
spiking glue, like Elmer's.
Yeah, it's.
You know what we used to do with Elmer's glue back in the day?
I can imagine.
Hey, Twatch, I want to thank you very much once again for being part of the
pleasure.
show. We got
Dirty
more-
Girl Flair! Dirty Girl!
You know what? Actually, we're going to go to a commercial. Hank, you got time?
Yeah, I got a few.
All right, go to a commercial. I got one more question when we come back. I didn't touch it.